take a moment and show you guys. I'm going to first. I would like to show this example. I don't know how true it is, but the purpose of this video is to show you that everything in this country, what you think is a government agency, and is a nothing more than a corporation for profit, and so it makes a big difference. So watch this real quick.
Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen, in entering this golden age, better known as the Corona period. When a baby is being born, it is known as a crowning, and the Latin word for crown is corona. This new birthing has made each one of yous on a global scale an economic sovereign. You are responsible for everything in your life now. Your money, your health, and anything else you can think of. You are responsible for it. Your governments and your states will be rolling back
Good.
the nanny state.
Get the hell out of my way.
You in power
Assholes.
with controlling your own lives. Grasp this moment in time. I have not witnessed it in my lifetime.
All right, so you can check it out if you want. You're interested. I don't know how true it is. However, if you know what I know, it sounds like it is a good possibility that it is true. And so anyways, what I do know as a fact is what I'm going to show you right now. Right? And what this is it's called Duns&Bradstreet. Duns&Bradstreet is one of the oldest corporations in America. Right? See if it we got the time that it's been around since. It's about like 1835 or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but roughly. And so it is the data universal numbering system. Anything that's inside that has a DUNS number is for international operation, right? Because it's unlike a national employer identification number, and that is also known as the federal employer identification number or federal tax identification, is a unique 9-digit number, so is the DUNS, assigned by the Internal Revenue Service to business entities operating in the United States. So if you're operating outside of the United States, then you need a DUNS number, okay? And I'm going to show you a bunch of entities, corporate government entities. The proper terminology is federal, corporate, state governments. That encompasses all of them, and they are all tied together because this is it's a monopoly kind of thing, right? And so it's a proprietary system, and DUNS users include the European Commission, United Nations, and United States governments. They should have, and also Apple, right? So Microsoft, Apple. More than 50 global industry and trade associations recognize, recommend, and require DUNS. The DUNS database contains over 300 million entries of businesses throughout the world. It is international, right? And if you want to get federal contracts, then you need a DUNS number, because the federal, what you call United States Incorporate, the federal government is nothing but a federal corporation, right? And it is owned and controlled by the Federal Reserve, which is a foreign international bankers that run everything in what they call America, okay? So United States Incorporate incorporated is the full spectrum of everybody that I would show, all the entities that I would show, and they are all controlled, owned, and operated to various degrees by private international bankers. Okay, so the reason I even found this out was because of Montgomery County in Conroe, Texas. Those assholes are, I'm not even going to get into it, but I never knew how much, how damaging these government agencies were to people until they showed up in my life, right? And the worst part is that from the word go, they were showing up stating, we want to help you. We're here because they were concerned. They care about me so much that they decided to basically start trying to ruin my life. So, and I've been dealing with these people since 2016, since the first time they showed up to come to try to help me, right? And then while they were trying to help me, I was trying to walk away, like, hey, I'm good, leave me alone. And they were like, no, we're here to help you. You better stop right now, because we're trying to help you. And because I refused, they threw me down on the ground and arrested me. And for my safety, they claim, they decided to drive me not 2 miles and drop me off at the place in which I was staying. Right? They decided to go 14 miles and throw me in a cell and treat me as if I was a worthless piece of shit. Okay? But that was for my benefit and for my safety. It wasn't because they were trying to issue municipal bonds and prison bonds, or whatever you want to call them, performance bonds. Right? And so Montgomery County is actually the county of Montgomery. Right? It is the corporate name. And if you look at this if you pull up this, you'll see that this goes to, it's Montgomery County attorneys, and so this is a municipal, U.S. municipal government. And municipal governments, this would be off the Duns&Bradstreets. Let's just go there. So the analysis, municipal governments provide service to residents. They formulate and enforce local laws, right? So they formulate and enforce their own local laws, right? They make infrastructure, provide local. The U.S. has about 36,000 municipal and town ship. They're called a ship because these are foreign vessels in dry dock, because everything that they're doing is foreign to the law of the land, the real law, which is the law of the land, and that's all of the constitutional Bill of Rights and all that. So this is foreign. So the facts are that everything that they operate in is all about contracting. So now they have to get you to sign papers. And if you do not sign these papers, then they will, well, they use coercion, as in the fact that they were trying to get me in their hands with the SWAT team. And what had actually happened was was right before that, like a couple hours before that, I was calling this phone number and multiple other phone numbers, because I was trying to pinpoint this and narrow it all down, right? And why I was doing that is because they've been operating, well, they put a fictitious warrant out for me back in October, right, stating that I didn't show up for court when I did. And so everything that they're doing, I wanted to make a insurance claim, right? And I wanted to notify their insurance. And so then I was thinking that might be a procedure that might help me. and get them to stop toying with me or basically screwing me over. And so this is their main, and I find this ironic that they're involved also. So this is a concert, right, which has nothing to do with them, but this is down the road from the location in which I was staying. And the facts are that these municipalities, they make more and more money because they got more people coming. So this is their little, this is their trickery, right? They build a little concert area, right? Concert venue, and now people, locals are, happy and more people moving in, and they put on a really good front. And for example, if I was looking for a place to live and these were one of my options, I would go to this place possibly, right? And then I'd read openness, accountability, and honesty define government transparency. They don't do any of this, right? So that's all a complete lie, but they are right. It does define. So this is a true statement. However, they don't actually participate in this. Okay, in a free society, transparency is government's obligation, and I've literally asked questions to open records, and multiple places have told me that they are not obligated. The Texas law or their statutes, open records, do not obligate them to answer any questions, right? So in a free society, and I got proof to back everything that I say. Here's a fact that I only speak in truths, right? And if anything that I'm saying is an opinion and I don't have something to back it up, then I tell somebody. I literally say I'm not sure how true it is. However, so it is an opinion, right? So in a free society, transparency is government's obligation to share information with citizens. It is at the heart of how citizens hold their public officials accountable. Now, I believe they changed this because there was a point back in around August whenever I was arrested, and I started digging, trying to get some information, and because now I have to fight for my. They want to give me. They want to give me a year in jail plus up to $4,000 fine, and for what they call resisting arrest, search, or transport. So they don't even know. So I still to this day I don't know what they were claiming. They're claiming one of those three in an affidavit, a complaint by the arresting somebody. I don't know. None of this stuff I know, and this is why I say openness, accountability, and honesty. They don't do any of it because I don't even know anything in any regards to exactly what they're trying to say and what they're trying to do. Right? I know exactly what happened with me, and the facts are I was turning around, and this guy also, this guy claims to be a peace officer. For me personally, I turned around to walk back to the house because I was only about seven houses down with my dog, and they wanted to start questioning me, and I don't talk to cops. I never talk to cops, and the only time I actually do usually is when I'm telling them to go F themselves. I'll be honest, right? So, and the only time that ever happens is when they start getting up in my face and they start thinking that they own me, right? Because this is what I would show you is these corporations posing as these quasi-public private corporations posing as a governments do believe that they own people, right? And that's because, one way that they believe that they own people is the Texas Department of Public Safety. For my example, I had a driver's license for Texas a long time ago, and it expired back in 2010. However, and I never see this driver's license, this Texas ID number, anywhere in all of the case matter, right? However, whenever they do the warrant, the capias for the bounty for my head, it has the actual true entity that they believe that they're allowed to to manhandle like they do, and it has the Texas ID number. So I contact the Texas Department of Public Safety. Well, once they issue a warrant, then all of a sudden you get a letter from the Texas Department of Public Safety, right, stating that if you don't fix this problem and surrender all your rights and go and kiss their ass, well then you're never going to be allowed to have a license in Texas again, right? And it's like, yeah, well, Texas sucks. Right? Anybody who, if you know what I know, I never want anything to do with Texas. Period. Right? By the time, I wouldn't mind actually, to be completely honest, I wouldn't mind watching all of southern Texas, the Houston area, and all the way up 100 feet under ocean. I wouldn't mind being able to have a boat and be fishing right over top of the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, right? That's what I would like to see. That's how disgusting these people are, and they created all this. And at every moment every effort that I made to try to clean it with their mafioso mentality in the way in which they do everything, they have me where I hate the state. Okay. So anyways, and then, so what I was getting at is public officials. So I had wrote to them because I took a picture of this and I sent it to all of them, and because they weren't giving me any of this any information or anything, and I sent it to them. But down in here, they went from, like they always do, public officials to public servants. So then I literally stated, hey, I keep seeing you guys jumping back and forth from public officials to public servants, right? And the same with law enforcement to peace officers. They're two complete different capacities, right? However, they like to mix, match, and mingle the two. And what they're really doing is they're playing that schoolyard bully, right? So the schoolyard bully, he walks around, and when the teachers, none of the teachers know that he's a little punk, so he walks around smacking kids and everything, and then as soon as the teacher walks around the corner, he starts kissing the teacher's ass, and the teacher's like, oh, he's such a good kid, right? And the teacher can never believe, well, it's the same thing. They go from the schoolyard bully to little crybaby bitches, back and forth, right? Okay, so the governments exist to serve the people. Governments exist to serve the people. Now, the way in which they actually write this, governments exist to serve the people. So, on a silver platter to the owners of these corporations. Okay, if a government is a quasi-public corporation, in which it is, and I will show you, then it exists to serve. This is a double entendre, right? It exists to serve the people, to the owners, the masters, and that is what these cops have turned into. All they are is corporate henchmen, right? They go out and they have the public, they have a license which is supposed to give you public liability, but the facts are that if I call, I can't get even license. I can't get badge numbers of people, of officers. I can't get anything. I don't even know who the other officer was when Pierce threw me down and punched me in the side of the temple 3 times as I was trying to walk away, and he turned into a peace officer as I was walking away to go to peace, turned around to walk away to go into peace. I didn't try to walk through him, right? So he's a peace officer, and he apprehended me, threw me down on the ground, and punched me 3 times in the right temple, which could be literally a death blow, right? And he punched me so hard that he hurt his little hand, his fist. And then whenever that happened, the whole time he's shaking his hand and he's looking at me all mad because he hurt his hand on my face, right? And then his little buddies were like, "Are you okay, buddy? Oh, yeah. Anyways, information on how officials conduct the public business and spend taxpayers' money must be readily available and easily understood. Well, I can't get a single bit of information, and I have been trying so hard that they sent SWAT team. Okay, and that SWAT, Sergeant Alvarez, told my mother right after they left. He said, "You better tell your son to stop calling around and harassing people." And so I'm harassing. So, and this is a typical Texas thing, right? So when you call, all they do, they're a bunch of grand dictators. They are some of the most arrogant assholes that I've ever had to experience, and I didn't know that they were this bad. And so you call to ask a question. They ask questions. And then you go, and then I'm like, hey, I didn't call you to answer questions. I called for you to answer questions, right? And then they just hang up, right? So, okay, this transparency allows good and just governance. So, in everything, public business, they're even calling it business. They're in business, people. Okay, so this county of Montgomery, it's located in Conroe, Texas. It has 1,300 total employees. Now, these are all people that need this county of Texas, this county of Montgomery, to survive. 1,300 people are little leeches, right? Little punks, right? In general, maybe some of them are good. But what I'm getting is everybody knows, right? I've seen it 100 times. I've even been told this, right? If you're going to be really smart, get a federal or a government job, so then you can sit around, right, and be the dictator and be a complete asshole and right, and get paid, and you don't have to really work because it's a joke, right? So, and in all the privileges and benefits is what you're going for, right? So they got 1,300. And it generates about 400 million. I'd like to get about 300 million out of this, what they've done to me for the last 4 years or since 2016. All of the crimes that they've committed to me, on me, yeah. So there are 82 companies in this corporate family. That is where they turn into a like a mafia, right? It's cartelism, right? So everybody's out there, and in people like the Marxists and all these lefties and all that, they're always bitching about capitalism. But the capitalism that they're talking about is turned into corporatism, which evolved into cartelism, right? So what we're experiencing these days is cartelism, and the reason being is because if out of 82 companies, let's say 4 of them, the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office, right? Let's say I start going after them, and I got to call a couple other people, a couple other facilities in the county. None of them want to work because they don't want you to take down all of their people, right? And so they will actually work against you, right? So if I called 82 of these companies and talked about how one of these officers, threw me down on the ground and kicked the crap out of me, every single one would be like, "Oh, that's too bad. What do you, and hang up." That's it. Where if you know that a crime has just taken place, it's kind of an obligation, right? Depending on like if you're inside of this corporate family. So in other words, these the Godfather, right? So if Michael Corleone went and kicked the shit out of you, right? What you do is you go to talk to his daddy, Don Corleone, and you're going to expect, right, some justice, and it's not going to happen, right? all that Don Corleone's gonna do is sit Michael down, right, and tell him, hey, bud, yeah, hey, stop kicking the shit out of this idiot, right? So then we don't have to listen to this little crybaby, come and crying to me and everything, right? You hear me? That's it. That's it. So, anyways, so this county of Montgomery, I called, and the reason they showed up is because they didn't like me calling and asking all these questions. And one other thing is, what I did, I was using my mother's phone because she has the option to change or to hide the phone number. And so about a week later, after this episode happened, I accidentally stumbled across a fact that. And then I called to verify it because it didn't make any sense. But I called my mother's cell phone provider, and they said that the government, if you call any corporations and governments, then they can see through that little private screen. So the only time that it actually works is if you're calling a private entity. So if you're calling a friend or anybody on a private phone. Other than that, especially corporate governments, they get to see that, and I guess the government implemented this where you can't hide your phone on them anymore, right? Which is really weird. And then I was like, oh, so that's why they thought that they came attacking my mother's house, right? And here I could have used because I have other phones, right? And I could have used that number, and then they would have never known where exactly I was. So just, word to the wise, people. Okay, so if you look, County of Montgomery here, Montgomery County in Maryland is making sales. These are sales revenues, right? And they got three of these counties in Montgomery counties. They have three of them in United Kingdom. They got 2,860 registered. And this Montgomery County, Maryland, is making $4.2 billion in profit. Right? $635 million. And you can go down through Montgomery County Public Schools. $101 million. And so you can go down through. Woodlands, Texas. Municipal utilities. The Woodlands, Conroe. Woodlands is just south of Conroe, so they're in Montgomery County, Texas. That one's making $20 million. This one's making almost $20 million, right? These are revenues, and they have DUNS numbers, which means that they're operating in international capacity. They're not operating as just a federal within the United States. Because these municipal bonds are being traded, bought and sold internationally, right? Okay. So if you just were to go county of and do a search, it'll bring up all kinds. There's a county of Los Angeles. L.A. County, I guess, right? $23 billion. San Francisco, 7.5. San Diego, County of Orange in California, $4 billion. They're all making tons of money. The Holy See, which is the corporation from the Vatican. This Holy See is the United Nations corporation. So the Vatican has a corporation. The Pope has two identities, two faces, two hats that he wears, right? In the Vatican, he's the king of Vatican City, which is which is almost equivalent to Washington, D.C., right? I don't know the exact size of Vatican. However, they over in Rome, they have what was called a Capitale Hill, right? And over in Washington, D.C. So it's Washington, D.C. is a correspondence of Vatican. That's why they have the obelisk and all that kind of shit, right? And so the Embassy of the Holy See, and you can go down through Holy See Embassy in Dublin, Ireland. This one's in Houston, Larry Shelton. And the Holy See is the Vatican's corporation, and it is recognized by the United Nations because United Nations is the corporate, it is the corporate headquarters for all of the corporate conglomerates, right? It is the universal system. Holy See Global District, a sole proprietorship. And speaking of sole proprietary soul is like the sole of your feet, and that's why whenever you were born, they say it's for identification. Yeah, right. And the soul, they created a sole proprietorship, right? When they they captured. So now you're lost at sea, because back in 1666, when London caught on fire, right? It was really bad, from my understanding, and they claimed everybody is lost at sea, and you had, I can't remember the exacts, maybe like up to 7 years to come back and claim all of your land or whatever you were missing. And so they just put everything into a big trust, because they don't know who's alive, they don't know who had what, they don't know anything. So it just all became a big trust. And that's what they're using right now, is a trust. So Vatican. The Vatican Observatory Foundation. This is where they have. I don't know if it's in Tucson, but I do know that out west in the desert area, right? I don't know exactly where it is, but they have the world's most powerful telescope looking out into space, and the name of it is called Lucifer. Right, the light bearer. Right? Jesuits. I guess you could look up Jesuits. Just put up Jesuits. The Vatican Family Limited Partnership. And some of these may just be cute names, right? Like anybody could call their like that Vatican properties. However, I do know that McDonald's, right? McDonald's is Ray Kroc. His genius was literally in real estate, right? So what they do is they sell burgers to buy real estate, right? They're not in the burger business. They're really in the real estate business. Is what McDonald's is. And from what I was told by what's his name, Robert Kiyosaki, who is Rich Dad Poor Dad, he stated that McDonald's now has more property than the Vatican. I don't know how true that is, but that was his statement. Okay, so if you go just and do state of Ohio, So everything that starts with state of is the like Ohio is a territory, right? And state of Ohio is the corporate fiction that owns it or operates it, claims ownership of it, right? Instead of the people having, then these people come in, right, and create a state of fiction. The state of states is also, it's referred to the state of states because it's a state of fiction. And this would be a person, right? So people and persons are two different things, right? Persons can technically include people, but people cannot include legal fictions, right? So state of Ohio is making sales revenue. They're generating 60 billion. State of New Jersey's, and see, here's also typically, though everybody will put the state. However, it's not needed, right? No different than United States doesn't need the United States, because no different than what General Motors, you never refer to General Motors as the General Motors. You don't McDonald's, you don't the McDonald's, but they just add that little the for the purposes of trickery, deceit, right? Everything that's going on, the whole country is operating on complete lies and deceit. And I know this for a fact because if I write this, when I've written this, and I for a couple of years now, whenever I started learning this kind of stuff, I started to lose all of my accounts, because everywhere that I would be in the social media realms, right, Facebooks and YouTube and stuff, I would start saying some of these things that I'm learning, and then all of a sudden I would get, they would cancel me or shut me down for like a week, and playing all kinds of games with me, right? And then like looking for cell phone numbers, right? And then I wouldn't have a cell phone anymore, and so now I can't, now I can't open the thing up anymore, or they want, just non-stop bullshit. And when I just recently, like about a week ago, I recently posted some of this stuff, and then on some groups and on Facebook, and then I was shut off of the groups, right, for like 3 or 4 days. And then whenever I got back on, they said, oh, you're allowed to post. And then these assholes treat me like I'm a child. They put me in timeout. I'm always being in timeout like I'm a child, because they are. And so also whenever I post any of it, whoever's in charge of that group, so let's say I post something and there's 20,000 people, all of a sudden, if they don't just jerk me out and cancel it, and I have also found where it's cops that are saying, hey, you don't write that kind of stuff here, right? Get rid of it and stuff like that, right? This country is vicious, okay? There is so much hatred and so much deception and so much negativity going on via United States and all of the agents of the state, who all are they have like all of their interest in it. So they've put all of their stock into this, right? And they're not going to let go, right? They don't want, and so some just a average idiot American like myself trying to talk about some realities, they don't want to hear it, because they want to keep everybody in that trap, that mental box. That's why when you graduate, they put a square. Typically, they use black, right? Typically, but you can use whatever color you want. But typically, it would be a black robe, black hat, and it has that square because that's the cube. They put that black, they put your head, your mind into their black box. And most people can never get out of there, right? And the reason people can't get out is because of fear. Everything's fear-based, right? So like somebody would tell me I better not ever call back. And then and then they hang up on me. And then what do? My stupid ass calls back, right? And I got an attitude. I tell them, don't you ever tell me what to do, asshole, right? Well, then they bring a bunch of guns, right? And a SWAT team, right? To try to extract me. So then once I got into their hands, if I just accidentally died, right, it would just be an oopsie daisies. Oopsie daisies. We don't know what happened, right? And right, but they did cure their little, their problem. They cured it. So you can go down through the state of this and all that, and everybody like conspiracy theory. Well, hey, I know there's no doubt everything is a conspiracy. 100%. State of Maryland, all of these states. Where is state of Pennsylvania? Or the state of Texas? I wonder how much. Why is there not? State of Texas should be up at the top. As far as revenue, I would assume. State Bank of Texas. Huh. State Banks of Texas. State Bar. How about Texas? Huh. Texas State? That's weird. Oh well, let's keep moving. I'll figure it out sometime when I get the chance. Okay. So what else we got here? State Department. Washington State Department of Printing, right? 7 mil. U.S. Department of State, the Office of Designation. Washington, D.C., 3 million. Department of Motor Vehicles in New York, 1.5. Department, State of Florida, Department O. Department of State, California Department of State. This is hospitals. Department of Motor Vehicles in New York, in Oregon. Automobile, Motor Vehicles Department, automobile dealers is what they're listed as. Auto dealers, local Department of Motor Vehicles, Idaho Department of Motor Vehicles. Oh, that's another thing. When you register, so I had bought 2 new vehicles. I spent nearly about $45,000 in cash, right? I bought a Dodge pickup, and so I could carry a 40-foot travel trailer, and I bought the travel trailer brand new, right? And as soon as I did, I go and I registered it with the state. I didn't want to at all. I hated the fact, and I sat there and debated with myself, and then I punked out and turned into a little punk, right? And I said, okay, you just got to do it, you know? And so I did it, and then right after I was doing it, I still didn't feel right, and I started doing a little research, and then I come to find out that what they do is, so I had the original manufacturer's origin, what do they call it, the title, original manufacturer's title. origin of manufacturer's title, and I handed it over, and I thought that they kept it in a safe, right? And then they just went and gave me one of their little their state license or a state proof identification, right? It's state title. And so I got to the point where I was like, okay, I want my original manufacturer's title back. And so I called up the state, maybe that I did this, registered it with. I called them up about maybe 3 months later, and they said, "Oh, we give you 30 days to come back and get it." And then I said, "Then what?" And then they said they destroy it. Get the hell out of here! You destroyed the original manufacturer's title, right, of origin. And they said, "Yeah." I'm like, "Why would you do that?" And she doesn't know, right? And that's a lie. What they do is they put it all in, like what they did with the mortgages, right? They bound them all together, and then they put it into the stock market, right? And so what they do is I can't think, for some reason I can't think of the words that I use. Maybe it's just because the recording is on. So they bind them all together. They put a QSIP number on it, right? And then they put it out into the stock market or into the markets to be bought and traded. And what they're doing is they'll say they come up with a projection. Like, if they have 1 million people that just gave their automobiles just signed over their authority to take their automobiles from them. This is why they can pull you over, right? They can pull you over, and if you signed up and registered and became a resident of that state or that area, then to go and get the license, you have to sign a contract stating that you accept all of their terms and conditions, even though you don't know all of them, right? And so then whenever when they pull you over, that's why they can go and seize your vehicle and everything, because it's not actually yours. And just to register is the regis, which is giving to the king, right? The actual title, right? And this is all about title, and it's all about transference of title. And so, they said that they threw it or they destroyed it. But what they really did was sold it out into the markets. And if you have 1 million and you say, typically we have enough cops out there, right? And we have a pretty big drug problem, right? So typically we are able to get, let's say we're able to get 500,000. That's a little steep. We can get about a quarter of all, we can apprehend a quarter of all of, and take the title of a quarter of all these vehicles. And then whenever we do that, we're making money on all these other aspects in which, and we'll have all of these idiots signing all of our, it's just money. It's how it is, and it's projected. They have, yeah. So you got all this. I'm not going to... I just ran across this. White House Black Market Incorporated. And then it turns out that this is a clothing company I've never heard of, and it's out of Fort Myers, Florida. I just thought it was interesting. The name, White House Black Market Incorporated. And then I was like, wow, they're making $57 million, right? And there's 1,000 of these companies. I've never once in my life heard it. And then I just ran over to the site. That's pretty hot right there. I like that snakeskin look. And I guess it's all women's clothing. I don't know, but so the Navy, United States Department of Navy. It's a Navy depot. It has 2 employees at this station. There are 65,000 companies in the Navy, United States Department of look how the Navy United States Department. Look how they got this name all kinds of bumbled up. And why would that be? Maybe to make it so people can't. It's harder to search. Navy League of the United States, 9 million as a parent company. United States Department of the Navy in Iceland, they're making almost 1 million. Naval Reserve, supply, right? You could go down through and check it all out yourself. Department of State. And there are 65,000 companies in the United States Department of State corporate family. You know how powerful this is? A corporate family, and they're even calling it a family. And what happens with a family? If you mess up with one, you could potentially mess up others. So this is they're looking after each other. They got each other's back. It's like the mafia, right? It's a family. This is a family thing. United States Department of the Army. There are 65,000 of them. This one has 25,000 employees at the location, and that is in Alabama. And this was created, I forgot to go down through here. Typically shows when it was. This one doesn't. State bars. State bars. Non-classifiable establishment. Are you serious? They can't figure out how to classify this thing? State bars? I would assume that it's something legal. So what I did was I went over and I found it. Okay? So I took this Citizens Bank Drive. This is 1915 Citizens Bank Drive. And this is one attorney at law. And I find this funny because he was in Louisiana disbarred. This is updated in 2020. This was just recently updated. Terminated in Georgia because of non-payment of dues. This lawyer was disciplined by a state licensing authority. Suspension deferred with probation in 2012, and this was updated in 2017. Suspension deferred means that he's suspended, but that the suspension is placed on hold and ultimately removed if the attorney complies with certain, right? In these public reprimand, he did something wrong, but may. It's just not. It's just such a joke. This whole thing is probation revoked, and probation has violated its terms and original discipline. Usually a suspension has been reinstated. He or she will not be able to practice law again until the suspension expires. Right? Interim means lost his or her license practice during the disciplinary. This dude has been screwing up hardcore. Okay? Permanent resignation. This fool done resignated. Resignation. He resigned, and permanently resigned means to avoid being disbarred. Disbarment is the most serious penalty for lawyers. So that he had a Duns number. State Bar of Texas. And I wouldn't doubt State Bar of Texas Insurance Trust. Yeah, the bars, all of the bars are involved in a trust, right? They put it all into a trust, I would assume, because that's a trust is nobody can touch and mess with a trust. No corporations and stuff, no governments can mess with trust. Texas Bar College, and then I like how it's all empty. You see numbers nonstop, and then here, these sneaky little rats, huh? The State Bar. Those sneaky little bastards, they don't like to disclose any information. Then if you just do State Bar of, you got Cali, 79 million. Arizona, 17. And then you get all these state bars. However, for some reason, Texas doesn't come up. Insurance Trust. So Texas is playing a little game. I don't know exactly how. They're State Bar of Michigan. All of these other people are being a little bit more on the up and up. And it's probably because, from what I've seen with Texas, it has to be, I've been all across the country, and it has to be the most corrupt place that here's an example. I call up Montgomery County Sheriff's Office to see if there's a warrant issued. They will not tell me. They fight with me and argue with me. And they say, go and call a bondsman. And I say, I'm not calling anybody else. I don't need more people involved in this mess and make it messier. And what happens when they tell me something wrong? And so you don't operate in third party capacities, right? And the only reason, because I don't operate, because I don't need to, because I'm a grown man, right? And I'll take care of all my own business. So that's why I'm calling directly, and then they don't want to actually put themselves in any position of liability. And I've seen this trick over and over again with these people, right? So then they get a third party because, right? Because now it's all second hand. It's not, nothing is via first hand, right? So nothing, you know. And now you don't have, so now it's all hearsay, right? So if it's third party, well, I thought that they said this, and I thought they said that, right? So anyways, I was like, this is nonsense, and after arguing, and what I did was I called up my home, right, back where I grew up and was born and raised, and Pennsylvania, and I called up the Butler area, Butler, Pennsylvania, and I called the sheriff's office directly. They answer the phone, and I say, hi, could I look to see if there's a warrant out for my arrest? And she's like, oh, yeah, sure. What's your name? And it could have been done that fast, right? Just like it should have been done with Texas. And so apparently what I would assume is that the people that I grew up around aren't nearly as corrupt as the scumbags in Texas. Okay? And, you know, everybody, if somebody's from Texas, you're going to hate that. But, hey, I'm only calling facts. If you don't like it, then I would suggest then you do something about it. And then you're like, oh yeah, I'll do something. I'll kick your ass if you say it again. And I was thinking, yeah, maybe you go and you change it and you make it right. So then people don't say facts. Because one thing is for certain, you can kick my ass, but it will never change the facts. And as long as I'm talking about the facts, then I will keep saying the same damn thing over and over again, no matter how much you kick my ass. So, tough guys, all the tough idiots in American, whatever you think you're doing, idiots. And I find it weird that American Bars Association does not have a DUNS number. So, United States Supreme Courts. Of course, Supreme Court, these all have DUNS numbers for a reason, because they are involved in international bonds, okay? and you can go down and they're all over the place, and they're all empty, just like all of the bars associations in general. Not all of them, but a lot that I saw. The American Bars Association, when you do that, it pulls up, and I like this, that racism in America, right? The Asian American Bars Association, Friends of the Mexican American Bars Association, right? The Indian, I guess I would assume this is Native American Indian and not how do you do? Very good to meet you. How do you do? I'm thinking not Habib, and the Vietnamese American Bars Association, right? The Dallas Asian American Bars Association, the Asian American Bars Association of the Delaware Valley, right? And it's like, Jesus, we're so pathetic that we gotta chop them all up into little pieces, right? And United States Marine Corps. Now here's a weird thing. There's a saying, hidden in plain sight. And all my life, I've always heard everybody refer to it as the Marine Corps. Never a corpse. A corpse is a dead person, right? The Marine Corps, right? It was always the Marine Corps, and which goes into to me, right, automatically, as a kid, I'm like, it's called the Marine Corps because they are the center, the foundation, because they're the baddest mofos in the United States Army, in United States military. And here's another fact, that's United States military. So they could be told to turn their guns on Americans, and if they did not do that, they would be in big, big trouble, right? Because they are not American, and I also find it ironic that if America should have a continental army, literally, and that would be a militia type of deal. Right? And why they don't, I don't know, understand. And especially the fact that I think to myself, all of the people that retire or come out, so if you did 4 years in the military, shouldn't there be a continental army? And then you can go straight into that, and if they the National Guard, yeah, but no, that's still under the United States. That's still under United States Corporation, right? We're talking a solid, real, common law, constitutional army. And as soon as if you leave the Marines and you are a sergeant, then you can go straight into this Continental Army and be a sergeant, right? And all kids can go and enter into it. And you could start out at Boy Scout type of things, and and everything that you're teaching is all survival techniques and all of this really cool shit. And then you could have a paintball gun, right? Wars, right? Mock-up wars, and you can have them county versus county, and just like they do with wrestling, to all the way to states finals, right? And and you'd have all these kids out, right, running around, right, learning how to defend themselves, right, and even more important, exercising, defending themselves, and growing together, uniting together, right, and bonding, right, instead of bonding with the television, right, and these computer games and stuff. Right? It was just like, why is that not going on? I see it all. I could formulate this, and it would be so easy, and I think it would be pretty freaking awesome, right? And then have all these little areas, right? That I go on and on. I see it. Okay, I find this interesting. There's United States Marine Corps. This is a boat dealer, so they're dealing boats there. This one is non-classifiable. They wouldn't know how to classify that one, right? And then this is where you actually get into the real Marine Corps, right? Subsidiary of United States Incorporated. And then all of a sudden, all of it's no, there's no numbers left. I'm just curious. United States Inc. Okay, I better finish this up. This is the 5th time that I've done this, and for some reason, all of a sudden, it locks up and seizes up on me. I like this one, United States. This is in Afghanistan. Government department, independent. They're generates about almost 1 million, and it has only 25 employees in Afghanistan. Right? 25 employees in Afghanistan, and they're generating about $1 million. And then on top of all of these, like, I don't know if taxes are included in any of this kind of stuff. I don't know, but I find it very interesting. The Association of the Fort Sam Houston Museum, United States Army, social assistance, the government sector. This is the United States Army in United Kingdom. And here they got this exact. They got one in Turkey, Germany, United States Air Force. Once you get into the actual United States Air Force, it all goes blank here, right? This is department in London. The United States Navy. The U.S. Navy in Italy, this is a parent company in Italy. What's up with that? That's probably why why their subsidiary corporation, the Marine Corps, it has the globe with the fascist eagle on it, right? Which would be the Roman. Rome has had that eagle ever since the ancient Rome. Oh, speaking of Holy Roman Empire, I didn't know this because I went to a government public school, and when I went to this government public school, all I was told was to sit there and shut up and listen instead of actually asking questions and getting involved, which was a real turnoff for me. But anyways, the 1806 is it's been around since 1806. That's whenever it actually dissolved. I did not know that. And I like how they call it the Holy Roman Empire, which would go along with the Holy Bible. And the next thing would be, why is the center of Christianity, Catholicism, in Rome, right? And, so if Jesus was born in Bethlehem, and if the region was of the Jerusalem and, that area, the Middle East there, then why isn't, right? So, and then this holy, what exactly is it? Because it's filled with holes, so it's holy, right? Because the whole thing is filled. That Holy Bible is filled with a lot of holes. Right? It's not supposed to be taken literal. However, they trained you to take it literally. because nobody could ever convince me that the Word of God is relegated to about 1,200 pages is what they say by right. 1,200 pages, and I read it was like 993 pages are of the Old Testament. So that's Jewish. That's all Jewish doctrine. And then 288 pages, if I remember off the top of my head, is in it varies because there was multiple. So I believe I'm talking. I believe. Don't quote me. I'm talking about the King James version. 288 pages of the New Testament, which was a complete contradiction, almost. Right? Jesus contradicted everything that Moses basically said, right? You know, eye for an eye, and he's saying turn the other cheek, right? And yeah, it's full of holes, right? However, the concept of Jesus, right, is the humanitarian type of Jesus. I'm all for it. Jesus is my homeboy, right? However, did he actually exist? I don't know. Like maybe there was a guy that existed and he just was, right? And he was just trying to find his own way, and he stood up and kind of maybe. A little bit like me, and they just shitted on all over him because they didn't like what he was saying, and people were listening to him. So there's been 1,000 Jesus types, right? To a certain degree, and everything is about degrees, right? And so this is just the police, right? So the police department of County of Stark in Canton, Ohio is they're generating about 256 million. City of Detroit is doing about 248. Los Angeles Police Relief Association is doing 236. Okay. The police jury, water and sewage, sporting goods. Jackson Police Department, 104 million. And you could go on and on, right? West Fargo Police Department, 61 million. Fargo. And if you want to spend some time, look around. I just pulled these up. What is this? The county courts. This is just a county court, United Kingdom, making over a million. Franklin County Clerk of the Courts, auto titles, they're making 690. Legal services. And finish this up. I just pulled up United States Senate. United States JCI Senate, I don't know what that is. But here you get in United States Senate, Washington D.C., and it's all blacked out, right? Or whited out, whichever one. However, they do not want to they have a DUNS number, so they are for business, and they are for international business. And you've seen all these other ones that are showing how much, and they do not want to show you how much, along with the bars typically. Judiciary courts of the state of Texas. See? And to be of is not for, typically, right? To be of means that you're extracted from, but to be for means, you know what I'm saying? So the state for Illinois The state for Illinois would be a state of mind, right? That is for Illinois, so it is in a positive. They are coming together for the state, and that's what the original Constitution was. It was for the United States, and United States was with a little u because United is not a proper noun. All proper nouns get uppercase, right? Uppercase starts with an uppercase, and it was for the United States, which was state was the capital because it's a proper. Right? However, then they turned into of, so United States of America, because they're extracting from America. And this district clerk of court's office, I could call these people up. It's the same number actually as that first one. And so here they got 50 employees at this location, and there are 4,735 companies in the judiciary courts of the state of Texas corporate family. That is crazy to me. And this explains exactly why. So they have one principal. See who the company's key decision maker is. I've been thinking about starting a free trial. But I believe that you have to have a credit card to do that. And Wells Fargo screwed me over big time and took all of my reward points of like what I had close to 65,000 reward points, and those were point to point for every dollar that I spent. Right, I got a point, so I spent like $65,000 with this card, and then they pulled up it's a long story, but they screwed me over big time, and then they took me to court here in Montgomery County, and then they ran off. So I started to defend myself because I couldn't find a lawyer. And then whenever I defended myself, I started to contact them and ask them a bunch of questions. And then they all ran off. And even to this day, this was back about like a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. And then I started trying to get Judge Bays. So, and I started going for the judge. I sent all kinds of emails, faxes, and all that kind of stuff and they ignored every single thing because they know that once I started talking to them, they know they screwed up big time, and they just ignoring everything. So justice of the peace and whenever they say justice of the peace, they should have this P-I-E-C-E because they're taking their peace, right? And when they say just us, this is just us of the piece of pie. So just us of that piece of the pie that is that they're going after. And I guess all right. So money, 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 money. That's all that they want. And they've turned everything in. So you are a commodity, right? And in every aspect of your life, you're not free because you're a commodity, right? And they want you to sign that dotted line, and they're not going. Anytime you go to sign something, start asking them a bunch of questions. Just ask them a bunch of questions, right? Like, what exactly, if I sign this, is this? And make sure you record it, right? So here's all these judiciary courts of the states of all of these different states, and they're all empty. And courts of the United States Courts Administrative Office of the United States courts, and then you got tons of them, right? And they're all for business, and they all have DUNS numbers. So that means that they're looking internationally. They are not within the federal realm of just United States. So then here's a fact, is that since this is all, that is the case, then all that they're operating in is colorable law. So everything, there is law of the land, which is all Bill of Rights, constitutional, right, laws, and all that kind of stuff. Everything underneath that is corporate. And then there's where your statutes come in and your codes come in, right? And all of that is colorable law, right? Because it can change. All it takes is any idiot monkey with a crayon to go, and because these courts are all private courts, okay? So they are quasi-public, private corporations, and there's a private side, and you're not allowed to know what they're up to and what they're doing and how they're doing it, because that's none of your business, right? Business, okay? Unless you can figure out how to make it your business. So what they're doing is they're operating in uniform commercial code. And I'm going to end that there, and adios.